Hey guys, it's Amberstorm here, and today I'm back with another video. I meant to do this video a little while ago, but I've been really thinking on it and trying to really talk about, get a good way of really discussing this topic, because this is a very sensitive topic where I'm probably going to get called an elitist no matter what I say. So I wanted to try to minimize the amount I'm called an elitist. So as you can tell by the title, this video is about Fire Emblem Warriors and the fact that my opinions on Fire Emblem Warriors being only characters from FE1 slash FE11, because FE11 is a remake of FE1, FE13, which is Awakening, and FE14, which is Fates. So this brilliant idea comes from what I believe is the mind of Nami Komaru, which I will be getting into a video on Nami Komaru sometime, because a lot of the reports are scaring me significantly about what I hear from that woman. But apparently Nami Komaru is forcing developers of spin-off games to give priority to her games, which the games that she worked on is Awakening and Fates. And this is why only Awakening characters were present in Tokyo Mirage Sessions, and Akanaya characters, as they were kind of forced in because they're the first game in the series. But anyway, let's talk about Warriors. I will have a completely separate video on Nami Komaru, like I believe I just said. So Warriors, the idea of having only 3 games when your series is, I guess, 4 games if you count Shadow Dragon. When your series consists of 15 games, it's an awful business practice. What they're doing with Warriors is awful business practice, because the problem with a spin-off, I find, especially a spin-off that goes into a completely different genre, is you aren't going to get the fans of that genre playing it, because they don't know the characters from Fire Emblem. And it's going to be difficult to get the Fire Emblem fans to play it, because they might not like that genre. I love strategy games, but I hate mindless hack-and-slash games like Dynasty Warriors. I believe I've said this before. So the main way that you can get the Fire Emblem players to play your hack-and-slash when Fire Emblem is a strategy game is to introduce fan favorites that people will want to play as, and not giving us fan favorites like Sigurd, like Hector, like Roy and Ike, although I feel those last 2 will probably be DLC, which I will get into later on, the concept of DLC. Just all these very popular characters. Lyn, who else are some really popular characters? I guess Seth, characters like Seth, but all these popular characters that are in the different games, like Soren, Har. I'm just thinking of characters that my friends and I love. These popular characters, if they were in the game, they would dramatically increase your sales, because people will want to play as Hector. Everyone wants to play as Hector. Like all the people I talk to who have played like a significant amount of Fire Emblem from Warriors, a lot of them say, I want to play as Hector. Even the people who aren't a fan of Hector still say, I want to play as Hector, because he's such a popular character. And by eliminating all of those games, you're significantly reducing your marketing, and how many people you can get the game to. So it bothers me on a business level. Just because it makes absolutely no sense, and it's just blatant bias towards the games, which, like I said, is most likely being drawn back to Nami Komaru. As for the excuse that we don't want too many sword characters, that is a bullshit excuse. They've introduced 10 characters. Wait, let's see, is it 11? Because they've released Marth, the 2 OC Dragon Ball ripoffs. Ryoma, Xander, Corrin, Chrom, Lucina. Are you picking up on the trend here? Picking up on the trend? Frederick, Robin, and Lissa. So, out of the 11 characters you've introduced to us, 8 of them are sword units, 2 of them are axe units, and 1 of them may be a mix between magic and swords. And Corrin, I guess, is a mix between swords and dragon. Yeah, no, that's not flying. That no sword excuse isn't flying. If you wanted to make your no swords excuse actually viable, then you would have given us OC characters. I think there's even a third OC that they introduced that also uses swords. So you wouldn't give us OCs that are playable that have swords if you're trying to avoid sword characters. And even more, they introduced Lucina, who is quite literally a Marth clone. They said, we don't want our sword styles to replicate, but they throw in the literal Marth clone. Like, what? That makes zero sense. So now with that rant out of the way about how the sword excuse is bullshit, I'm going to go get into the whole elitist versus 3DS thing, which is going to be probably the most controversial part and I'll get yelled at the most for. But, okay, I'm not going to go too into the discussion because the whole idea of elitist versus 3D, saying that in air quotes, versus 3DS is quite the heated debate. Well, I guess it'd be more classic versus 3DS because 3DS has just as many elitists as the classics do. But the thing that every single 3DS fan that I say, that when they hear someone that says, I don't like the fact that Warriors only has Fire Emblem and Fates characters, it doesn't matter what that person justifies it as, because the 3DS player will always in my experience say, oh, you're just a butthurt classic elitist, you hate all things new, blah 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 blah. You guys probably know my 3DS elitist voice by now, but if that's not true, well, personally for me, that is complete bullshit. I could not give, because I'm not saying that Awakening and Fates all have awful characters. Like, I like Lisa. I like Lisa. I love Stahl. I love Henry. And then from Fates, I like characters like Scarlet. I like characters like Shura. I like characters like Niles. I like characters in both these games, but the fact of why I'm personally extremely annoyed by this choice, is because, like I said before, you're only including 4 games when Fire Emblem consists of 15. Like, if you do the math on that, that's just over a quarter of the series. So almost three quarters of the series is being dumped to where it'll either be DLC, which, like I said, I will get into DLC later, or they're just going to be completely ignored. I would bet my Path of Radiance copy that we will not get an FE5 character either at all, or they will be incredibly late down the line when the game has lost all relevance at all. And this is what infuriates me. Like, let's take another RPG series that has quite a few crossover games in the Tales series. The Tales series even has their own crossover stories in the Radiant Mythology games. But the thing with Radiant Mythology games for Tales is that they include pretty much every single game into every single one. So if they announced Radiant Mythology 4 and they're like, we're only going to have characters from Fantasia, Symphonia, and Vesperia. For those of you who don't know Tales, Fantasia is the first game, and Symphonia and Vesperia are like pretty much the 2 most popular games in the series. So if they only introduced those 3, people would be fucking pissed. People would be furious. They're like, where's Abyss? Where's Graces? Where's Zillia? Where's all of these other games in your series? And keep in mind that Tales does have the exact same game count as FE. There's 15 games in the series. So, like, people would be pissed if you only had characters from 3 games. And they would be completely justified. No one would really side against them. But in Fire Emblem, people are allowed, when people say the exact same thing, like, we don't want 3/4 of our series to be completely scrapped in favor of just these 2 games because they're popular. And, of course, Nami Komuro, but like I said, that's later. But we aren't allowed to say that, because if we say that, we are just butthurt classic elitists. No, we aren't classic elitists. I'm still fine with Awakening characters being in the game. I'm still fine with Fates characters being in the game. I just want equal representation for the entire goddamn series. And that's the thing that these 3DS elitists can't understand. It's not that we hate these games. I love Conquest, and there's certain aspects of Awakening that I really enjoy. Like, the way you could pretty much sandbox Awakening is actually still really fun for me at certain points. But I just want every game in the series to have accurate representation, or even representation. And now the argument that people will always bring up for this, is that, oh, they'll just be introduced for DLC, blah, blah, blah. Well, here's the thing. I mentioned this briefly with the DLC coming so far down the line that the game's lost complete relevance with FE5. But here's the thing. First off, Magvel almost never has any. They have, like, Magvel, FE8. They've had 2 characters in Heroes that are just the Lords, and they have absolutely no Cypher cards. Like, no one cares about Magvel. So if you think we're getting Magvel DLC any more than the Lords, that's pretty questionable. But jokes aside, the game, the Switch version of Warriors, because I don't think it's coming to 3DS at all. I think they confirmed that it's not coming to 3DS. It's like somewhere in Canada, if you get the year-long warranty on the game, which I usually do because I'm a klutz, that's coming up to $97. And knowing Intelligent Systems' idiotic business practices, well, I guess that's Koei Tecmo, and I don't know how Koei Tecmo does DLC, but we're probably going to get 1 DLC pack for each game. I want characters from FE4, FE5, FE8, and those are the 3 ones that I want. First off, I have to rely on those getting into the DLC. And second off, there might be multiple packs for multiple games, so I might have to buy multiple packs to get all the characters I want. Second of all, they'll probably cost around $5 each for each of those packs. So if I have to buy 2 packs for each games, that's another $30 down the drain just so I could play as the characters that I want. And then there'll be characters like Ike, Roy. I'm sure they'll have like a Super Smash Bros. One where they'll have Ike and Roy playable, because every other Smash character is in it except Ike and Roy. That'll be $5. So if people want to play as Roy, because Roy is immensely popular in Japan, Binding Blade is a very popular game, then they'll have to pay extra money for it. And when the game is already so bloody expensive, expecting people to spend $5 to get characters that should have been in the base game is just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it is, like I said before, it is horrible business practice. So yeah, with that's really what I just want to say. I want to say that I feel that what they're doing with Warriors is a very poor choice of business practice, and that it's not, if they're showing this much favoritism to the new games, and like I said, Nami Komaru video sometime, it's actually starting to worry me a little that they're showing so much favoritism to Awakening and Fates, because I swear, if Shadow Dragon wasn't the first game in the series, it would just be Awakening and Fates. I'm near certain of that. So yeah, just please, Intelligent Systems, Koei Tecmo, get your shit together and give us either free DLC. Like, if it was free DLC, I would be fine with it. But if it's paid for DLC, no. Give us accurate representation in a crossover series that's supposed to celebrate the entire series, not just slightly over a quarter of it. So yeah, thanks guys for listening. I know that was mostly me ranting more, but this is a video I've wanted to make for a while. So yeah, like I said, for the 5th time now, I think the Nami Komaru video will be going up sometime, because there's a lot of very interesting stuff in that video. And I will have a couple other Amber Rambles planned. I'm doing a lot more working now, so it's kind of harder to make these videos. I was able to make that shit post of Tico the PRF Falcon in like 2 minutes. But yeah, a lot of these Amber Rambles, they'll take a little longer to get up. So yeah, thanks you guys for watching. I'll be sure to try to get something up as fast as possible. Feel free to like, comment your opinions, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video content. My name is Amberstorm, and I am